Welcome to the self-sufficient year, and we're into April, and look at this glorious sunshine. The weather is really warming up and things are looking up too, so come and join us.
Hello, welcome to English Country Life. Welcome to the orchard. My name's Hugh, and together with my lovely wife Fiona, we run a small holding here in rural Lincolnshire. And it's April, the sun is out, the blossom is out, the bees are out, and we've got Broody Hen over there. This month we're going to be doing lots of sort of on the structural work as well as getting on with the routine chores. So we're fencing, we're hedging, we're building, but we're also planting, growing and potting on. A lot to cover. Let's get started.
Welcome to the greenhouse. Let's start off in here. And what have we got? Well, we've got a big mix of plants. We've got some which are for eating, so things like pumpkins and chilies and tomatoes, and we've got others which are basically flowers, so pretty things that I like to look at and, you know, show off to the neighbours, quite frankly. We've also got some plants which are going to stay in the greenhouse and others which need hardening off. So what is hardening off? Well, all it means is during the daytime in April, we're going to take them out of the greenhouse environment and get them used to being outside, but we'll bring them back in at night because the nights are still a little bit colder, and that just gets them used to being outside before we plant them out. So let's have a look at what we've got. Well, the first thing to show you are the tomatoes, and look at these beauties. She started these off in January in heated propagators and then brought them on in the windowsill, and now they're in the greenhouse. Now very shortly these are going to go into a second greenhouse, and it just needs a little bit of clearing out, but we can get these planted out in the next couple of weeks. So that's one of the big jobs for April. One of the other things we're doing is we're going to be planting on these chilies, and these are smaller, but that's their nature because these will fruit later than the tomatoes. And these are onivex, and we find they're the best bang for our buck. So a lot of flavour, a lot of heat, and let's face it, I like chilies in my food. I am absolutely addicted to it. So Hugh's really growing these for me, and I'm very, very grateful. We've also got a little bit of an experiment. So this is a pumpkin variety that we've never grown before, and it's called Crown Prince, and they're actually blue. Now, we bought a Crown Prince pumpkin from a local garden centre. It's actually a local nursery. Now, we don't know if it's going to breed true. We hope it does. So we harvested the pumpkin seeds after we'd eaten the Crown Prince pumpkin, and we potted them on, and look, they're growing absolutely brilliantly, and we're hoping they do breed true. We may get some bizarre pumpkin. We will get something that's very tasty, but it may not be a true blue Crown Prince, so we're just going to have to see how that goes. Well, what else have we got in terms of food in here? Well, we did a little video on black currants, red currants and white currants and how to propagate them, and these are the results. So these are red currants, and these came from the layering technique, so I'll put a link to that video up above so you can see how that works, and they are doing incredibly well. Now, red currants do sprout much earlier than black currant. So let me just show you the black currant pot. These are the black currants. Now they are starting to sprout, and you've got to remember with this one, that's the layering technique, so that already had roots. These are basically just the cuttings off the plants when I pruned them, and I've just popped them in the soil, and look, they're growing. There are roots in there. I have actually had a little dig around, and there are great roots forming on those plants. So it's basically new fruit bushes for free. What else have we got? Well, I'm also got my flowers started off in here, and we'll start with the sweet peas, and look, these need planting out quite desperately. Now, I do have a video on this too where I followed a year round from harvesting the sweet peas on the property and then bringing them into the new year, and that's what I've done again here. And I'm going to actually use old step ladders as their supports because they are climbing plants, and step ladders, you might think that's a bit strange, but they do look really pretty, and I've picked them up incredibly cheaply off eBay and local free cycle size. So I've done really well out of that. I've also got these penstemons, And these came from cuttings I took in autumn. And again, I've got a video showing you what I actually did there. And I've got a number of these which are ready to be potted on. Now, I'm going to keep them in pots just a little bit longer before they go in the garden, because I want them to be really strong bushes, which are going to give me beautiful penstemon bells. And I have to say, penstemons are really beautiful plants. And the perennials, which saves me a lot of pruning bother. And then finally, what else have I got in here? Well, I've got dahlias, we've got cabbages, we have got crab apples, we have got eating apples, we've got pears, which Hugh's grafted. We have got so much going on in here, and all of it needs either potting on, hardening off, or planting out. So we're going to be incredibly busy, but oh, I love this lifestyle.
Welcome to the free range area that's coming back into use, which is fantastic news. But right now, for today, inside this, which is a Garden Life Direct one, and these are fabulous, they're great for either flock down or just for keeping your birds safe. And in this case, we're using this specifically as a broody run, because we've got Taffy in that Nestera ground coop in there. And Taffy is now in her own maternity unit, and that's the way we like to do it when a broody's raising chicks. And we go through a very specific process that over years of refinement we find is the best way to go. And what we do is we let the broody hen sit for a day or two wherever she chooses to, and in there we give her some either rubber or plaster of Paris or sacrificial eggs, but some eggs to warm up. And once she's sort of stuck fast, then we move her into her own coop in an area that has a run that keeps other birds away from her. And if we move those nice warm eggs with her, they kind of tend to help to make her stick. So we move her with her rubber eggs, and we let her settle for a couple of days just to make sure she's truly stuck. And then we can swap those eggs out for real fertilized eggs that she can then incubate. And having her in a run separately means that she doesn't get turfed off her clutch of eggs by other hens wanting to lay, because they always all want to lay in the same place. And what that means usually is it's a bit of a scrap, which can lead to eggs getting broken or to younger eggs being put in with a partly incubated clutch, which gets confusing for us. So creating an area where that hen can incubate a single clutch of eggs in peace is our best way of improving our hatch rate.
This is a brand new hedge line which we've put in, and why have we put it in? Well, we did have a really thick blackthorn hedge here, which was amazing for security. Now, we do have a number of foxes in this area, and as you can see behind us, this is our Orpington field. It's actually the orchard, but it's where the Orpingtons will be once flock down is lifted, because we're still in flock down at the moment. Now, once they're out, we need to stop foxes coming in. So we have planted this hedge. We've retained some of the blackthorn, like this plant here, so we will still get sloes, but we have put in pears, we've put in hazelnuts, we've basically put in plants which are going to bear edible fruits and nuts for us, but it's sparse, as you can see, very sparse. So this isn't going to keep a fox out for the current time. So what Hugh has done to protect the chickens is he's put this stock fencing in. Now that has taken some specialist tools, but they're not expensive to buy. So if anyone's interested in the video of what he did to put this fence in place, please let us know and we can make that video. Now, we're calling this a temporary fence. However, temporary is probably around 3 years or so, because that's how long it's going to take for this hedge line to thicken up and give us that protection from the predators which could go for the chickens. But it will come out, and look at it, it's amazing. It's going to keep those foxes out.
This is our large fruit cage. We think of it as the cane fruit cage because it's got blackberries and raspberry canes and all sorts of plants that need support. In order to support them, what we've done is we've put 3x3 fence posts all the way along it with strained horizontal wires that those canes can be tied into and supported so that the sun can get to the fruit. The problem we've got is we're in the Lincolnshire Fens, and for those of you who don't know, Lincolnshire Fens is a flat area in the east of England. We're basically salt marsh here. Now, we've got seawalls and dikes and drainage systems, but the ground is still ever so wet. And what that means is, along here, those fence posts are rotting out far more quickly than they normally would, and certainly far more quickly than I would like. So as I'm trying to replace them, and I've got a couple to do this year after the winter, what I'm doing is something a bit different. And what I'm doing is putting in these instead. These aren't fence spikes. They drive 2 foot down into the ground, and just that cup sits above the ground. And in that cup, I put the fence post. And that has 2 advantages. The first one is if I have to replace the fence post in the future, I undo those bolts, whip the post out, put a new one in, job done. But the other point is, because the fence post is supported up out of the ground, it's far less likely to rot to begin with. Let me show you how I've done that.
Earlier in the video you would have seen us putting our Broody Hen inside the Nestera Coop, inside this walk-in run. Now this walk-in run is from a company called Garden Life Direct, and we've had it for about a year. And we had a bit of a brainwave because it is incredibly strong. And we compared it to the commercial fruit cage we've got here on the property because we do need one more fruit cage. We put a temporary one over our black currants, white currants and red currants, and it's starting to rust. It's not going to last very long, so it's going to have to go. We've also got a problem with rabbits here on the property who chew through the bird netting, so we lose quite a lot of fruit to those rabbits. So our brainwave, what is it? Well, in comparison to our commercial fruit cage, this is cheaper, stronger and more robust. It's surrounded by wire weld mesh, so that's hardware cloth if you're in the US, and our commercial fruit cage is surrounded by plastic mesh, so the rabbits are just going to chew through that as well. So we've decided to put one of these around our black currants, white currants and red currants, so it's not just a chicken run, it's not just for your pets, your dogs, your cats and your rabbits. It is actually going to be used by us as a fruit cage. Now that means that we need to take the old fruit cage down and get rid of all of that bird netting, which took quite a bit of time, I can tell you. And now we need to start to dismantle the frame. Next month we're going to be able to show you the structure in place. Now why am I saying it's cheaper, stronger and more robust? Well, these are scaffold poles practically to hold it up. That's the first thing. And as I've said, it's got the weld mesh on the outside. But it's also cheaper. Now, Garden Life Direct have also got a 20% sale on at the moment. And they've given us a code, and look in the description down below for that code, which gives you a further 10% off the sale prices. Now, I'm not sure how long the sale lasts, so have a look and buy it really while you can to get those great prices.
That was April. Hope you've enjoyed it, but before we go, I want to join the walk because I want to do a bit of crowing. Look at my feet. Do you remember in the October episode of this, I sowed grass seed and people were telling me, oh, you can't grow grass seed, couldn't you sow it in October? Look at it. It's fantastic. So this kind of climate change does make a difference, and you can start to adapt and grow things later in the year, and we all should. If you've enjoyed today's video, can you spare us 5 seconds? Give us a thumbs up down below. If you'd like to know more about fencing or hedging or growing or these beautiful bees on the cherry blossom, leave us a comment and we'll try and answer your questions. Or if we can't do that in a quick way, we'll make a video and try and address the problem. If you want to see those videos, click on subscribe down there, hit the bell next to it, totally free service, but you get to hear every time we upload a new video. For today, thanks for watching, enjoy the sunshine, come back and see you soon. Take care.